This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Two places for theater now, becoming three with Atlanta, but New York, L.A.
Where you need to be.
Where you need to be. Now, if you say, I want to be an actor and, you know, and you're in New York or you're in L.A., cool. Or you go to Atlanta. Take classes in Atlanta. Because then when the doors open up, there's somewhere for you to go.
Yes, sir.
You know, if you're not there, you're learning your craft.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, you do theater in Cincinnati. And then you learn what it is. And then after you feel like you got a handle on how to be an actor or a singer, whatever, then you go to New York or L.A. or Atlanta. That's how that works. Because that's where all the work is.
New York, L.A., and Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah. Atlanta's newly emerging.
Okay.
You know, so my friend Louis Gossett just moved to Atlanta. He's been in L.A. for years. 40 years, 50 years he's been in L.A. And he moved to Atlanta.
Wow. Well, what was his reason?
Work.
Yeah.
Now, they putting Lou on everything.
I see what Coach Tyler Perry movies. So he doing a little bit of everything.
He doing everything, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you think technology has made the world a little bit smaller in terms of getting work or getting recognition in the theater world?
Has it made it smaller?
Yeah.
It was always small. There was always, like, I call it the bench.
Okay.
When you went and auditioned, you'd sit on the bench, and you'd always see the same faces. And whoever the new guy was that just got to town, if he was decent, he was sitting on the bench with the rest of us while we went and auditioned. Now, if he was still learning his craft, he didn't make it to the bench.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as soon as the shit got together, he was in there with the rest of us. So we all knew each other. So Garrett Morris, Glenn Turman, myself, you know, we would all sit there and then go into the room and do our thing. So in that respect, it was always small. Okay. Now what's happening is there's a lot more volume to the work, you know. So you've got stuff going on in Atlanta. You got stuff going on in L.A. You got other stuff going on in New York. And sometimes when you start to make a name for you, they'll send you up to Vancouver or Toronto to film, you know. But a lot of times they'll be cast here. They'll be cast in L.A. or in New York, and then they'll send you there. But sometimes, you know, you can be in those places and get a job. But when you think about show business, the talent pool is small. And the ones that are talented emerge. They rise very quickly, like cream. They rise to the top, and you know who they are. And those that don't rise, sometimes it takes longer for an artist to get a handle on what their talent is. But once they do, they're in the room, man. They're sitting on the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we're going, so like when I first started out, you'd never see a stand-up comedian at an audition for a half-hour sitcom. When I started, you'd see New York actors, you know, that had done stage, came out to L.A. But then some years ago, you started seeing stand-ups showing up, you know, and getting, you know, and people were getting them in the door because they wanted funny. And and these guys had honed funny. You know, they worked on what is funny. Now, most of the time, they could only do their material. And sometimes writers got a little bit upset about that, but gradually they learned how to make adjustments. You know what I mean? To the funny that was on their page, realizing that later on you might be able to rewrite it, you know, or you might be able to add a joke of your own. So I did a series with Bill Bellamy, Alex Thomas, and Tony Roberts, all stand-ups. All stand-ups, you know, and John Lovitz, another stand-up, white stand-up, but another stand-up. So the business itself shifted, you know what I'm saying? It's shifting again now. Now it's all black guys that are African descent that speak the King's English. David Oyelowo.
Right.
Idris. What's the guy's name? You know who I'm talking about? Yeah. Elba. Or Alba. They're Englishmen, African descent, come over here. And that's the new flavor of the month, so to speak.
But do you find that offensive as a person who's from here, who's been working in the craft for years, that those guys get the jobs that probably, you know,
they ain't white. They ain't handing out the jobs. The white boy's handing out the jobs.
Right.
That's on the white boy. I can't get mad at, how am I going to get mad at that guy for going in and getting the job?
What about when the rappers came on the scene, when they'll give them a lot of acting gigs to rappers? I know people are complaining about that as well.
Yeah, but that's the white boy. In other words, the white boy said, I want a real gangster. I want a real dope dealer. Now, I could say that I could play a dope dealer, and no, you can't play no dope dealer. I could play a pimp. No, you can't play no. No, I did 2 movies. I was a pimp. That's how it started out for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? See, I can't get mad at another artist because they not hiring. They're competing. But I can get mad at a white guy who can't see past his nose and don't have no sense of nothing. That's what I get mad at. You know, I ain't mad at you for sitting on the bench with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we all going for the same gig. That's why you have black people creating so that we can do our own thing you know what I'm saying? So no, I ain't that. When I was 17, my high school drama teacher's wife told me, no one can do what you do.
Right.
There's no reason to be jealous. Ain't nobody your height, your complexion, your emotional capacity can do what you do. You know, now somebody might walk in 6'1" and they want a 6'1" guy. I'm 5'7". How am I going to be mad at 6'1" when the white boy looks at 6'1" and goes, that's what I need.
Right.
You know, but I walked in on some jobs where they saw 5'7" and said, that's what I need. You know what I mean? So I ain't mad at nobody because nobody can do what I do. Nobody can do what I do. And they can't do it as well as I do it. They might be able to imitate me.
Yes, sir.
But it's an imitation. I'm the real deal. Now, if you want the real deal, I'm your man. If you want imitation, hire that other son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? No, but it is so. I have no reason to be mad at another artist.
So is there such thing as a Black Hollywood, or is that a myth?
Yeah, no, definitely it's Black Hollywood. And there is a definite dichotomy because Black Hollywood does not pay as well as white Hollywood. So if I do a black series, I know I'm not going to make no money. But if I'm the only black guy in a white series, I know I'm going to make some money. Because I'm going to get what's called favorite nations. Favorite nations is, if you say that I'm on the same level as these guys,
right,
I want favorite nations. If I'm on the same level as those guys and we have favorite nations, I get what they get. And they're going to pay a white boy more than they pay a brother. Okay?
So is that racism, or that's the way the business works?
That's racism. That's economics. That's a whole bunch of stuff rolled up into one. Okay? Cause, when Bessie Smith was singing She saved Columbia Records. Okay? They charged a whole lot of money, gave her very little, and she saved Columbia Records. And they tell you, and the guys that were jazz musicians that had their music stolen from them by the guys that were recording the music, that's a game. That's an age-old game. They just change it a little bit. They adjust it. They tweak it. They move it around a little bit to fit the times.
Right.
So right now, times are, you can be black and you can make some money, but you ain't gonna make the money.
Wow.
Now, I guarantee you, if you put Denzel Washington against the best white boy they got out there, they're not gonna make the same. It was equal status. Now, if there's a white boy that's coming up, Denzel's gonna make the money. But if it's equal status, Denzel's gonna make a little less. You know, let's say
even with his awards and all this stuff.
Let's say Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Denzel, Tom Cruise. Who's gonna get the money?
Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise only got no Oscar though. Denzel got 2 of them.
That's you know, that's not what this is about.
Okay.
That's a little flash to mess up your mind.
Right.
That's a, you know, look at Halle Berry. Halle Berry got an Oscar.
Yeah.
Look at Monique.
Oh yeah,
She got an Oscar. What is it?
But you think Monique is blackballed? And when you say she blackballed?
No. The point. That's not even the point. The point is that's a little flash over here,
Right.
to keep you looking over here instead of what's happening over there. That's what this is. So you go, well, Oscar, blah, 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 blah. And Tom Cruise going, I don't need no Oscar. Give me my money.
Right.
That's what Tom Cruise says. You know what I mean?
But do you think that somebody like Jordan Peele has changed the narrative on that, like black folks getting money? I mean, he's proven himself, right?
Yeah, but he's still, you put Jordan Peele against Stephen King. Who's going to get the money? You keep missing the point here. White boy's going to get more. And Jordan Peele is going to do all right. I'm not saying he's not going to do all right. Jordan Peele's going to do great. But he ain't Stephen King.
Wow.
Stephen King is the king of that stuff, you know? That's the way that works. Now, I ain't mad at nobody.
Right.
I just show up. I want to do my job.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I want to make some money. I want to make enough to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? So sometimes I go off for something and the parts are silly. So then I write a play myself. Okay. I got 25 plays.
Wow.
That tells you how mad I was. I should have only had 3. You know, I got 25 plays, but I walk out some of them auditions. I go, damn, I'm going to write a play. I'm going to write a better play on this subject than they gave me to do. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't mad. I ain't mad at them because they trying to use me, you know, because at certain points I say, use me, put me in the movie. You know?
Come on. Are you good?
You know what I mean? I got 15.
How many of your plays, you say you written 25 plays, how many that actually made it to the stage to be or repeat? 20 out of 25?
Yeah, 20 out of 25, something like that. But I got movies.
Is it frustrating to have all that talent and that ability?
One day, the door is going to open.
Okay.
And when the door opens, am I ready?
Yeah, you should be ready.
Yeah. The guy says, hey, we're going to give you money for a movie. What do you want to do? Here's the first one.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a good idea.
I
already wrote the movie.
Okay.
Do you know where Sherlock Holmes lived?
Who was that?
Sherlock Holmes in England, right? What's the address? Do you know?
No, I don't know the address.
See, I'm a big aficionado.
Okay.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes lived at 221B Baker Street.
Okay.
My movie is about the person that lived next door. 221A Baker Street.
Wow.
Simple premise. Black guy leaves America, goes to England in the 1800s to hang out with a relative that's living there. And a relative, and I tried to get Lena Horne when I first wrote it.
I like your ambition, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
I sent her the script.
Wow.
So, the guy goes to Lena and says, look, I'm so-and-so's nephew. And they told me if I got here to look you over, she said, look, I got a little scam that I'm doing here. And you would mess me up. He said, well, all I want to do is sleep on your couch or sleep it. She said, no, you can't stay with me. But I have a friend named Alfie. This is his address. You can go stay with him. Goes to Alfie, and Alfie is a taxi driver. Okay? He stays with Alfie. Alfie lives at 221A Baker Street. Now, what I did was I took a little bit of liberty. So, Sherlock Holmes used to say, the game's afoot. Meaning, we're on the trail, boom. So he and Watson would go and do the game.
Right.
All right. So the game's afoot. So they would come out of 221B and they'd knock on the other door and they say, Alfie, get your taxi. We got to go. So they would get the taxi and they'd go on the adventure. But now there's this black guy riding with Alfie because he's trying to learn London. So what happens is they get into an adventure. And I'm not going to tell you what the adventure is, but it's really cool. They get into an adventure, and because the guy is black, he has to do what Sherlock Holmes does. He has to be observant. So he has to see things to keep from getting his ass kicked by white folks. So he puts things together. So they get on this adventure, and the brother says to Alfie, he says, hey, do you realize that such and such and such and such happened? And Alfie goes, no, what are you talking about? So it becomes the dynamic of Sherlock Holmes and Watson, only it's a taxi driver and a brother.
Okay.
And Holmes and they're going off on the case their way, and Alfie and the brother go off on the case their way, and they keep ending up in the middle. Towards the end of the movie, they save Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Okay? So then Watson publishes the story, because that's what he used to do, is publish a story in the Strand magazine. Okay? So these two guys that can't wait to read the story because they saved Sherlock Holmes. So they go through the scene, they read the story, and they're not even in the story.
That sounds like right.
So they go to Watson and say, what the hell's going on, man? We saved you guys. Says, my dear boy, do you think our readers want to hear about a taxi driver and an American Negro saving Sherlock Holmes? I think not. So, and then you could do a series of stories taking the same Sherlock Holmes stories that everybody knows, but implementing these two guys in the mix.
What's the extra? Wow.
Isn't that good?
It's great. Come on. Who would play the American Negro? Who you got in mind for this?
For me, but shit, now I'm too old. Well, originally, it was for my black ass, but, time and the stuff has moved on. So no, then you figure out who you want, I'd probably use, Chadwick Boseman or no.
I thought it would be more like comedic actor or something. Oh, would the black guy be the straight guy? Like he'd be like the guy that.
No. It's the same deal.
Okay.
There's comedy in it. There's drama in it. There's action in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know what's strange about Hollywood? They always trying to do the remakes. They don't really got no ideas, but you got ideas. But where's the funding for your ideas? It's got to be frustrating.
Well, you try to get in the room with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to say, look, here's my idea. And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they no. I wrote a pilot for Lou Gossett.
Mm-hmm.
And we took it to these guys. They loved it. Mm-hmm. Me and Lou said, I want you to write about this. I'm not going to tell you what that one is.
Right.
Went, pitched, had a story meeting, pitched it. They go, wow. This is fantastic. We love it. We're going to draw up some contracts. So, okay, cool. Drew up the contract. Guess what we was going to get?
What? How much?
We were going to get something like Lil Anthony and Imperials got for making their records. That's what we was going to get. We wasn't going to get nothing. And they was going to get everything.
Wow.
And then they even said, we'll pitch this idea to TV, to stations, to studios. And if we don't sell it, we still own a piece. And you go, wow. Well, how much money are you going to give us up front? Well, we're not going to give you anything up front. Well, wait a minute. You going to own a piece of this? You didn't give us no money. And if you don't sell it, you're still going to own a piece. They go, yeah. Thank you. No. Never. So, and Lou went to a couple of black places and they didn't get it. They want to do their own thing, So
I had talked to Eric Monte on the phone several years ago. And so what
Eric and I took writing classes.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, but Eric, man, like, he told me his struggle. Eric is well known now, but I guess, or might not be well known, but he was talking about how he was trying to tell people about how they trying to portray the black family, in particular the black male image. So many years ago, he got blackballed for doing so. What's your thoughts about that? Like, is it true?
I was there.
Yeah, okay.
We was in the writing class. You know what Eric Monty said to me? He said, hey, Ted, got this guy that's going to take this story of a black family living in the projects in Chicago. It's going to make a TV series out of it. Say, Eric, you think this white man is going to put a story about a black family living in the projects on TV? He said, yeah, he seems to be an honorable guy and blah, blah, blah. Say, Eric, that ain't never going to happen, huh? I wish you kind of look at reality a little bit here, And Eric goes, no. Next thing I know, Good Time is on the air.
And that's his story, right? That's actually the story he wrote, right?
It's about him and his family.
Right.
It's about Eric and his family. So then what they did was they gave him Michael Evans because they liked Mike Evans. He was on All in the Family at that time, and they were working up to the Jeffersons. What they did, though, is they screwed him out of the money. They screwed him out of the money. Oh. Okay? They told him it came in as a summer show. So therefore, we don't give you the same kind of deal. Then they went this and did that and blah, 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 blah. And eventually, Eric sued them for $1 million. Now, they owed him more than $1 million. But he sued him for $1 million. And he asked Mike Evans he said, man, come on. Mike said, no, because Mike had already messed up. Mike said, no, I'm not going to do that, Eric. He said, well, I'm going to get some money. And Eric got the money and got blacklisted. That's what happened. He got blacklisted because he sued them for what they owed him.
He wasn't all that. He won the case, right? Did he win?
He won. He got $1 million.
But they blackballed him in the process.
Blackballed him in the process, and $1 million didn't go as far as one would think $1 million would go. Right.
Especially when you blackball. Yeah. He told me he had a hard time finding a lawyer and whatnot for that case in the country.
Yeah. Well, not only that, who wants to go up against the guy that's the reigning king of television at the time?
Norman Lear, right?
Norman Lear. Yeah. And so finally found somebody. They went in, he got his money, and that was the end of that. So he started writing stories that were good stories, but really didn't feature black people because he didn't want them to know. Turned them down. And once they saw the name was on the list. Eric Montsbury, had a brother. Wait a second, we're not doing that.
But he wrote Cooley High. That's his story too, right? Cooley High.
He wrote Cooley High, which became What's Happening. No, I was there for all of that.
Wow.
And we would see each other. Not only that, I came back from New York, and the Mark Table Forum was doing 2 plays. They was doing Eric's play in the main theater, and they gave me a play to do in theater off-site. It was called a Pilgrimage Theater.
Okay.
Gordon Davidson. And so the play was a racist, low-down chicken shit play. And so I said to Gordon Davidson and another guy named Robert Greenwald, I said,
Okay.
why you want to do this right? Come on, stop me. It's the reader. And what they were intimating was that they were doing a political thing because their reader loved this play. And the play, the reader was a white woman. And the reader, this white woman was, I said, well, I want to meet the writer and I want to meet the reader. And so they said, okay, before I accept. So I met the reader, and there's a lot of poems in the play about a black penis and a white vagina. So I looked at this girl, this woman, and I said, oh, I know what that's about. Because she had her hair pulled back tight in a bun shirt. Oh, real. I said, oh, and she said, yes. Aren't those poems beautiful and the imagery and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, okay, I get that. So then I went to the writer and I said, what are you trying to say in this play? Because I'm not sure if you're saying what you want to say. She said, well, it's about a jazz musician who does this, does that, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, okay. I can help you tell that story, but I'm going to need you to rewrite. Are you willing to rewrite? He goes, yes. I said, okay. So I went back to Gordon and Greenwald and I said, okay, I'm gonna direct this. And then I hired actors that could improv. And I hired Asian, Native American, Latino, African American actors, and I think I hired one white girl. And we did this play. And the play turned out great. Okay, so I'm saying to Gordon, I said, hey, Gordon, I was trying to get into the industry. This was before Lobo, before That's My Mom.
Oh, Lobo.
Yeah, before Lobo, before That's My Mom. I said, hey, Gordon, I got some interesting people coming down to the music. He said, no, they can't come down. They can't come down? He said, no. I said, well, when is the newspaper reviewers come? He said, there will be no reviews of the newspaper. And I said, well, there's no reviews in the newspaper. I can't bring industry people down to see my work to maybe get a job. I don't get this. What is the point? The point is the experience for the playwright to learn the process of theater and blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, but you hired me and I was under the impression. I said, Greenwald, you're directing Eric Monte's play. Is it going to be reviewed? Well, yes, it's going to be reviewed. I said, well, how come that play is going to be reviewed and mine's not? Says, well, so and so, so and so, so and so. And so I kept running into obstacles. At the time, they were doing Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. And Vinette Carroll. I don't know if you know who Vinette Carroll is. Do you know who that is? Or you know who that is? Vinette Carroll. I went into the theater to try to ask for something. They kept roadblocking me. And I'm sitting in the theater and I'm watching a little bit of rehearsal of Vinette Carroll. She sees me. She comes over. Hi, young man. How you doing? So I'm doing kind of, it's kind of rough. What do you mean? I said, well, I'm trying to get these guys over here to give me this, give me that, give me this, and give me that. And they keep blocking me. And Vinette Carroll said, we'll take care of that. No, we won't. So she says, go ahead. Come here. Now, this play was getting ready to open in Los Angeles at the Mark Tabor Forum. And Vinette Carroll says to Gordon Davidson, come here. And he comes over, he says, I understand this young man wants A, B, C, or D. He says, well, you know, Vinay, she said, I don't want to hear it. Give him what he wants.
Man.
Okay, now that's backup. Now I didn't know. I met her at that moment.
You didn't know it before then?
I didn't know her before then, and she went out on the limb, trusting that I could do what I said I could do. And Gordon gave me everything I wanted.
Wow.
Okay, and that's because of Vinette Carroll. All right, so we did this, and we did really well, and they came to see it. And they were shocked because it wasn't the play they gave me.
Wow.
It was a better play.
Wow.
Okay. Now, no newspaper reviews, no industry people came, but you know what they did? They took a picture of me and the cast. Now they could go to the NEAs and ask for money because they did a black production. And they can say whatever they want to say. It was great. It was bad. Blah, blah, blah. There's no proof. The only proof they had was the picture. Okay. So that's a game. I learned that. Okay. That's a game. Kept me down. Then years later, I went to the American Film Institute, and Robert Greenwald, the guy that was directing the play and one of the guys that had his foot on my neck, said, what are you doing at the American Film Institute? I said, I'm learning how to make movies. He says, you shouldn't do that. That's elitist.
Oh, really?
You shouldn't be going there. And I'm saying, man, you got the world at your feet.
Right.
And I'm just trying to get a little piece of something, and you telling me don't do it. Like I trust you and believe you. Better get the fuck out of my face. I didn't say that, but that's how I look.
So he was there too. So what they say about him?
No, he wasn't at AFI.
Oh, okay.
But he had access to making movies.
Right.
So he went from theater to making movies, but he was coming at it a different way, and he didn't want me to come at it anyway.
Wow.
You know, so no, that ain't fair. Get the fuck out. But by the same token, I knew what was happening. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. All right. And you know, like I could be mad at him, you know, and I could be bitter. But if you become bitter, they win. No. Keep this in here good.
And it destroys you.
Yeah, man. It eats you up from the inside out. No, you're not getting that. I'm not letting you in on that. And anybody that try to fuck with that, I'm done.
Or you think about people, like, you know, people got this thing about blood sacrifices and blood oaths and Illuminati stuff to make it to a certain level in the industry. You think that's true? Some truth to that? That people sell their souls to make it to a certain level in the industry?
Look at Trump. Look at Trump. You know he sold his soul.
Okay.
You know he sold his soul. What's worse, though, is people that you didn't know who you thought had some integrity.
Right.
Turns out they sold their soul to back the devil.
So it's real. Like, people do that stuff.
Hey, Mitch McConnell. Mr. McConnell sold his soul. Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan's you look at what Paul Ryan said during the Obama administration, you look at what Paul Ryan said, he sold his soul. Look at right now, all those Republicans have been bought. Any Republican that stands up for Donald Trump sold their soul. And part of it is Russian money.
So you say there was collusion. There was collusion.
I'm saying he's a traitor. I'm saying he had a secret meeting with Putin, and nobody knows what they talked about, and everybody's cool with it. And the Republicans should have said, as some good American citizens, hey man, you better tell us what the fuck went on. And they ain't said shit. Not only that, they're protecting him now.
What about the Democrat response? We think about what they're doing in terms.
I think they're trying to do the best they can. They ain't 100%, but they certainly haven't gone as far as the Republicans have gone.
But you think they're going to give away 2020, though, the way things are looking, or you think they got a chance?
We don't know yet. It's too early to tell. Let's see who they put out there. You know, I think somebody that's run got to be a woman this time around.
At all costs, it got to be a woman.
I think so. Yeah.
Any woman right now you think about, they could be, you know.
All the women they got up there are viable.
Okay.
Those are some bad broads. Look at them. Just listen to them.
Okay.
Them women are jamming. Kamala Harris, You go right Elizabeth Warren. You go right down at Amy Klobuchar. You go right down at them or some bad. But I'm happy with any one of those girls to get in.
But I know I talked to some women, like, I don't care what color y'all. A lot of women don't like women bosses, though. That's the thing. A lot of them can't stand women bosses. These are women that say,
Okay, so you tell me I got Trump or a woman boss. So that woman can walk into a meeting with Trump and have somebody grab her pussy. Okay? Or you can walk in with a woman who's a boss and you can argue, but that broad ain't gonna grab you. You know what I'm saying? So what are we talking about here? You're talking about evangelicals that are associating this guy with godly figures. They done sold their soul to the devil. Yeah, they sold their soul. I'll say it.
what do you think about, I mean, I know the Me Too stuff, like what's going on with Me Too. You think that's healthy right now? Or you think they targeting certain groups? Or like, like you look at, it's like a lot of black men are being talking about Me Too. But what's your take on the Me Too situation?
Nobody has been held accountable until Me Too. Look at the service. If a woman comes in as a sergeant and there's a lieutenant that wants that sergeant, is that sergeant going to speak up?
Yes.
Is she going to get promoted if she does speak up? Is the guy going to lose his pension if he does get reprimanded? Come on. No. They got to stop this. That's the problem, is they want to continue doing what they've been doing. And we're right at the apex of change. Change is happening and they're fighting it with every ounce that they got. That's why they got AK-47s walking into different places, shooting up the joint. They're so angry. They don't know, rather than seeking tolerance, seeking amiability, seeking a way to coexist, they rather kill you. What the hell is that? So no, I'm for all of that stuff. Get it out. It's a boil that has to be lanced. And it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be painful. That's what we're going through right now. When we get to the other side of it, we're going to eventually get to they're trying to hold back the ocean.
But you look at the Me Too stuff, I'm looking at, okay, they got Bill Cosby, tarnishing Michael Jackson while he's dead, R. Kelly, but I don't see nobody, Harvey Weinstein or nobody else, like on that level going down for that type of stuff.
But you know about Harvey, right?
Yeah, I heard of the things he got.
Yeah, you heard about these other guys.
Right.
We just have to make them accountable. But the brother's going to suffer first.
Right. I know, but like, why we got to be the poster child for everything? Why we got to be the boogeyman for everything in ill society? That's what I'm saying. It's like that Willie Horton commercial back in the 88 when Bush was running.
Ron. What's different now than it hasn't been going on for 400 years?
Yes, sir.
You know this going in. The problem is you got some people that thought they could do what white people do. Okay, and get away with it.
Yeah.
That's what the real problem is. The problem is, no. You think you can disrespect a woman because a white man does it and get away with it. Why would you, first of all, why would you want to do that? What is in your upbringing that you feel entitles you to do that? Trump knows he can do it. He knows he can disrespect women. He knows that he can steal. He knows that he can take foreign money. He knows that he can do all of these things and get away with it up to a point. What the real test of America is if they call him on it. That's the real test of America. The real test is when the people that are aiding and abetting this traitor says, wait a minute, I'm for the greater good. I'm for America. I'm not for Russia in America. You know what I mean? Every time a mass shooting happens, Putin smiles.
Yeah.
Every time some form of democracy doesn't work, Putin smiles. Every time you see something where we are at each other's throats, Putin smiles. I'm waiting for someone to slap that smile off of Putin's face. That's what I'm waiting for. You know?
All right. What about, actually, you talking about the 400 years, this is 16th, or the 400th anniversary of the first enslaved Africans landing on shore in America. And people are talking about this issue of reparations now. It's taking a hold. It's an issue that might play a part in the 2020 election. Maybe.
That's a distraction.
Okay.
That's a distraction. Here we go again. Here's the distraction. Reparations. You think you can get some money? You think you can get some money? No, that's a distraction. Why are you looking at that? You know, why are you looking at that? The guy's taking away clean air. Guys giving gas companies things to pollute the water. Why are you looking at that?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm worried about my grandkids being able to have a drink of clean water. You know? I'm worried about electric cars instead of gas cars. You know? Why? They throw stuff up for you to look at so they can do their agenda.
Almost like the Kardashians, isn't it? You Kardashian, that you're gonna tell you, yeah, like this is real. You know, when we put my energy into that kind of things, and then the real deal, you don't even look at. The real is not real, but the unreal becomes real.
I gotta ask you this too. I mean, you was a part of WATTSTAX. You had a memorable part of the WATTSTAX documentary. And like,
You think it was memorable?
I was great glad. No, yeah, it was your part. I love your part, especially like your brother being light skinned, the issue with the moms, my colorism. But I'm saying, like, yeah, you couldn't see gangster rap and the Rodney King. We couldn't see all this coming in the 80s and 90s and where we at now.
See, months later, that crack cocaine was going to the black neighborhoods.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts about now, looking back, you know, from the WATTSTAX era to now? What are your thoughts about where we at as a people?
We have to survive. That's my thought. My thoughts is we survived 1619. We got to survive 2019. We have to survive. That's my thoughts. And what is it that we do to survive? You know, you got to be a better human being. Can't be taking these girls off and doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. Okay. Did you know that 50 Cent was offered $500,000 to go to the Trump inauguration?
I didn't know that part. No.
He was on a late night talk show with Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
And the host said, James Corden. He said, I understand you could have gone to the inauguration. He said, yeah. Trump offered me $500,000, $500,000 to show up. He said, but I didn't see you there. He said, no, I didn't take the money.
And they both from Queens too. That was it.
You know, this is a guy that got shot 8 times. You know, and he had enough gumption to say, I don't need $500,000. However, there are some black ministers that showed up in the White House. And one wonders, were they paid or did they voluntarily go?
Well, what do you think about somebody like Jim Brown, who has a track record of being a social justice advocate and an advocate on behalf of black people, right? You think it's something wrong with him meeting with Donald Trump?
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not even the question. The question is how you get this guy out. That's the question. How you get Ben Carson's, who's now, what is he?
The House of Director.
Yeah.
HUD.
How you get him out? Because he's a brother and he ain't helping no brothers. He's destroying the institution. He's an incompetent guy that's not doing what he's supposed to do because he don't know nothing about the position that he's in.
Right.
He didn't prove that. So what are we talking about here? Look at the bigger picture. You know, they trying to force you to look, and then they do like that. And you're trying to say, well, what's happening over here? No, look right there, No, come on, man. You know, and black people know, you know, but sometimes we get sidetracked. Don't get sidetracked. You know, don't get sidetracked. Keep your eye on the prize. Remember that? Keep your eye on the prize. Cause that's the real deal.
I gotta ask you, you know, you in L.A., been there for a while. The Nipsey Hussle stuff, that phenomenon with the rapper. What's your take on that, man? Like, what happened with that? And like, I didn't know who he really was, but he's like this type of biblical figure now. Like, he's everywhere. What's your take on that?
I don't think we're really going to know right away. We're not really going to know if it was an assassination or if it was an argument.
Mm-hmm.
If it was an assassination or if it was an argument. I do know that L.A. turned out and filled the stadium where they had the memorial service.
Yeah.
Filled it up. Now, that sounds more like an assassination than just you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If he had that many people that were into him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too early to tell. But the truth will eventually come out.
Mm-hmm.
The truth will eventually come out, and that's what you want to look. Because sometimes, you know, when something happens, they put it on the front page, and when they put the retraction, they put it on the back page in little type that you almost miss it. So that's what I think Nipsey Hussle is. I think we got to wait and see where the deal is. Too early to tell. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, you tell a little bit of that Miles Davis Buddy Bolden story again for this on the tape. So you can do a short summary because I think people didn't know about that because I said the Buddy Bolden movie is coming out May 3rd. You actually had the idea for a Buddy Bolden movie years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. A guy came to my agent with a book. A black guy came to my agent with a book. And he said he had the rights to the Buddy Bolton. It was a book about Buddy Bolton. So he had the rights to it. And my agent suggested that I write a treatment. And then I would be paid $1,000 to write the treatment. And then I would get big money to write the screenplay. But first they wanted to see a treatment.
Right.
So I was at the NAACP Image Awards. And in my dressing room were two people, Tim Reed and Miles Davis. Tim did not want to share the dressing room, so he left. So it was just me and Miles. Now, we spent 8 hours together in the dressing room, in the theater, hanging out together and talking. But when Tim left, I was thinking as I was putting up my tuxedo and stuff, wait a minute, I got one of the greatest trumpet players in the world here. I wonder if he knows anything about Buddy Bolton. So I said, hey, Miles. And he looked at me, he gave me a look like, who the hell do you think you are? Call me Miles. And before he could say anything, I said, you know anything about Buddy Bolton? Whole face changed. Said, Buddy Bolton. Buddy Bolton. Old timers, St. Louis. You should say I played like Buddy Bolton. And so he and I started talking and exchanging information. I told him about the screenplay, where I was in it. Could he add anything to it? He had some stories. I said, oh, wow, thanks, blah, blah, blah. And so we're spending time together. He said, oh, yeah, by the way, da-da-da-da-da. So by the end of the deal, he said, you know what? I'll do the music. I went, whoa, what? He said, yeah. I'll do the soundtrack. Fantastic. So I go back to the black dude that's giving me the go on this, and I say, I got Miles Davis to do the soundtrack. And the guy goes, yeah, okay. And I went, whoa. I said, hey, man, I got Miles Davis to do the soundtrack for Buddy Bolton. He said, yeah, I heard you. Is the treatment ready? And I said, no, I'll have it ready. So I give him the treatment. And he comes back to me a week later and says, I can't use this. I said, what do you mean you can't use it? He says, well, you left out a part over here and you left out a part over there. And there's a certain flow to it. And it's not connecting here. It's not connecting there. It's not connecting there. He says, I said, yeah, no, I know. You gotta give me the rights to do the screenplay and I'm going to put that stuff in. He said, well, how come it isn't in now? I said, because if I put it in now, if I give you everything, you could give it to a white writer and then they can do it with no trouble. They wouldn't need me. Right now, you need me because I know where the story's going. But I've given you the chunks that you need to see that I can write.
Right.
You know? So let's talk about it. Find out later that he had stashed a white writer in a hotel to do the screenplay, and he never intended on hiring me to do the screenplay.
Wow.
Anyway, the whole thing went away, and turned out he didn't own the rights. He had stolen the book from a woman that lived up in San Francisco that had the rights. And on the good graces of my agent, who said he knew him, he assured me that he was a stand-up guy, which it turned out he wasn't.
Wow. Wow. So you have it? Did you did you finish the screenplay at all? Do you have a play?
No, I have the treatment.
Okay.
I wanted to be paid for the screenplay. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is, I went to New Orleans, and I interviewed Wynton Marsalis's dad.
Oh, Ellis.
Ellis Marsalis.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about Buddy Bolton.
Wow.
Yeah. He told me some stuff.
Wow.
So I was into it. I was really into it, and I thought it was going to go somewhere. But, a lot of times people are jiving. And the older you get, you start learning which questions to ask to figure out if somebody is bullshitting you or if someone is telling the truth. If someone has what they say they have, or if someone is scamming. The older you get. Yeah.
What about, what would be an ideal movie you want to see? What's a movie on your bucket list you want to see get made, or any topic or subject or whatever?
Well, I got about 15 screenplays, and I got some really good ideas, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, that's a smart man.
No. I could tell you, and then the next thing I go, damn,
they're right.
Yeah. And they'll say stuff like, well, it was in the air, and then unless I got a paper trail where we sat down and we talked, I can't prove otherwise. So I'll just say that I've got 15 scripts ready to rock and roll right now. And they're really good ideas. I got 25 plays that I do in black theaters around the country that also can be turned into screenplays ready to go, rock and roll right now.
Do you have any projects out there that we could support, or what do you need us to do in order to support?
I'll tell you this. I'm getting ready to do, this is May coming up. In July, I'll be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm doing a Shakespeare play, Twelfth Night. The actual title of the play is Twelfth Night or What You Will. That's the actual Shakespeare title.
Okay.
All right. Now, Twelfth Night takes place on an island called Illyria. So what I've done is I've changed that from Illyria to Jamaica.
Right.
Okay. And they have a bunch of songs in the show. I've taken out all the songs and replaced them with Bob Marley songs. Okay? That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Okay? So what we're going to do is this summer, last week in July, first week in August, we're going to do this show at the National North Carolina Black Theater Festival. So if you're in the area, come support the presentation of the play. That's what it
How can people reach out to you or contact you as well?
I'm on Facebook, but it's hard because I got so many followers right now. But for what's coming up, go to the National Black Theater Festival, their website.
Do you have any closing thoughts or words you'd like to share?
About what?
Closing thoughts or words you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, never give up.
Never give up. Thank you.
Never give up. Persevere. Because that's what they can't stand. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Get even.
I like that. I gotta ask you, who was your favorite actor? Do you have a favorite actor?
When I was growing up, there were three.
Okay.
Sidney Poitier, Laurence Olivier, Marlon Brando.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So I would go. I remember cutting school to go see a Marlon Brando movie.
Wow.
Yeah. When I was in high school, Olivier, because he was Shakespearean based. And when I was 14, I did Macbeth. When I was 16, I did Macbeth a second time.
Wow.
And when I was 18, I did Romeo and Juliet. So I really got into doing Shakespeare.
Wow.
Okay. And that's how I know how, 12th Night is going to be called 12th Night or What You Will, Man. You know what I mean? Instead of what you will. But, and one of my specialties is taking something that is classical like that and then viewing it through a black lens, an African-American lens. You know, yeah.
Your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie?
Oh, jeez, I got all kinds. I'll tell you one thing. The, Casablanca, directorially and script-wise, Godfather. Oh, yeah. I try not to watch Godfather. If I'm flipping through the channels and I stop on Godfather, I can't get out of it. You know?
Godfather 1 or this?
Godfather 1.
Okay.
Godfather 2. Mm-hmm. Godfather 3, no thank you.
No, really?
Yeah. Godfather 3, no thank you.
Okay.
The girl can't act. His daughter.
That was the charm to it, though, I think.
Huh?
I think that was the charm about it. Is she couldn't, like, really carry her own.
That was politics, man.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so many classic lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Take the cannoli. He said, "Take the cannoli," right?
Yeah. Leave the gun.
Yeah.
Take the cannoli. I'll make him an offer he can't refuse.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You broke my heart.
Yeah.
Fredo.
Now, that was 2 right there, too.
Yeah, that was 2.
Yeah.
You broke my heart.
Yeah.
I get out.
Who we gotta get
In, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, you watch Godfather 1, and you'll see the finest filmmaking being done under horrendous conditions. And that's what, as a black artist, usually that's what we have to deal with.
Right.
You know, is making gold out of something that looks like it's going to turn to shit. You know, it looks like it's going to turn to shit, but you turn it into gold. And that's what Francis Ford Coppola did with The Godfather, because he was fighting the studio the whole way around, you know.
Then he'll get impressed from the mob, too. He'll get impressed from the mafia, my understanding.
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember reading before the movie came out, some mafia guys saying they were watching Brando film and said, he's not a Godfather. Godfather wouldn't dress like that. A Godfather. Now, Brando's Italian. Did you know that?
I didn't know he was Italian. I knew he's brass.
He's Italian. Henry Fonda from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Italian.
I didn't know Henry Fonda is Italian.
Italian.
Nebraska.
From Nebraska.
I heard that Marlon Brando's mother was his acting coach.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so.
No. Marlon Brando's mother did theater in Nebraska, in Omaha. And so there's a great book by Anthony Quinn called One Man Tango.
Okay.
And in that book, Anthony Quinn said Brando would be in class and they'd give us an exercise and he'd do some shit nobody thought of.
Right.
Nobody thought. They'd go, how did this guy do that? And so that it became not so much about them acting as them trying to do some shit nobody thought of so that they could beat Brando.
Wow. So Brando's the standard still. Is he still the hallmark?
But here's the thing. Imagine you're a kid, 10 years old. Your mother's going down to the theater. She's directing every day.
Right.
You're 15. He's seen everything. He's seen everything. So then you go, well, that's how that guy did that. You know, Anthony Quinn was hanging out with Amy Semple McPherson. Wow. He wasn't acting. He wasn't sitting in no drama class. You know what I mean? Brando was sitting in there watching his mama direct plays, have acting exercises. So when the teacher said, you know, you're stuck in the bathroom, you know what I mean? How do you get out? He came up with some shit nobody thought of.
You know what? When he said, I'm thinking about, that's why him and Michael Jackson got along so well, because they started so young and they had these parents that very influential on their, that's probably why they had, I don't call it dysfunction, but they was this interest in life.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Relate to each other.
Yeah. Well, there's a different syntax of communication between people that grew up in the business than someone that's just coming to it.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's certain things you don't have to say about being a child and growing up, you know, and there's certain things that you two relate to. You know?
Special.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother Ted Lange. The words of Great Through the Elton. We love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.